Oh my god. My microphone is a pink smoothie. How about that? What's up, Revenue World? It's Joshua again here with a brand new video in which consists of a new attempt, number 4 to be exact, at making this type of content, which seems to be a podcast of sorts, you know? This will be a video in which I just sit down, turn on this camera, and I start filming, and I read some comments from one topic that I am quite interested in, alright? Well, also, I am expressing my own opinion on the subject of this series, alright? And what is the topic of this series, which already has 4 episodes? This will be the episode 4, the child-free lifestyle, alright? Which I happen to follow as the moment that this video is being made. It's April 2025, 2025, and so that should give anyone watching this video a notion of time and a proper measurement of the time and space that we are at, alright? In this episode, we are going to have a lot of story times. Why? Because we are going to answer the following question. You will see it over here when I'm editing this. So, as I was telling you, the question that we are going to answer and whose responses we are going to read is this one that says, what happened to your ex-partner who suddenly decided to leave to try and have children, alright? Honestly, I think this will be quite an interesting topic because, well, I can answer that actually. I can kind of provide an answer for that without going into much detail, or more like without revealing too much about the identity of the people in my life. What happened to my ex-partner who suddenly decided to leave to try and have children? Let's just say that she eventually found another person, and now she, because she's a wonderful girl I used to love, but we were not compatible in that regard. She eventually found another person and she had her kid. That's it. Quick and simple, without going into much detail, you know? Precisely, without going into much detail. Now, the question is, one more time, what happened to your ex-partner who suddenly decided to leave and to try and have children? Well, the person that posted this initially says, I see... Imagine that I'm eating a smoothie. Imagine that I'm drinking a smoothie, because it says, I see a lot of posts here about someone's biological clock suddenly kicking in and blowing up a relationship. And I always wonder if it sticks, alright? Let's take a look at some of the responses of this Reddit thread, alright? Again, r/childfree, what happened to your ex-partner who suddenly decided to leave and try to have children? This question was posted on January the 4th. At the beginning of this year, 2025, at 9:40 a.m. How about that? So, the first response that I'm going to record, and you will see for the people watching and listening, I'm going to edit this video so that you can see some text on the screen. And for the people listening but not watching, here's the first reply, and it goes, story number 1. It says, Oh. My first ex was hell-bent on getting me pregnant. My first ex that was hell-bent on getting me pregnant did get his next girlfriend pregnant. He was... Sorry, I'm recovering from a very bad episode of a cough. He was always talking about kids and how much he loves them, until he had his own. He does take care of his baby mama and kid financially, but found himself not being able to stand fatherhood and living with a child, especially since he and the child were both autistic. He lives several hours away from them, and mainly it's just a wallet. It's really... Modern men want to be considered and want to be viewed positively as a proper role model, and we want to be viewed positively. We don't want to be viewed superficially based on how much we can provide, and this idiot is precisely doing that. How disappointing is that? To that, another person replies, that's what I've seen a lot of dads do. I teach kids like this, and the fathers are never around because the kids are too much to handle. They want kids like a puppy, but don't want to actually raise them. How convenient is that? How convenient is that? But don't want to actually raise them. If they want any kind of disability, no, if they have any kind of disability, then they disappear quick. This person should say quickly, but that's besides the point. I can see that there is some ableism here, alright? I think I can see a little bit of ableism in that reply. Because to that, another person replies, this happens to mothers of disabled kids all the time. I've said it once and I will say it again. The man can just leave. How about that? If he decides he doesn't want to deal with it anymore, he'll just leave. How about that? The mother is almost always stuck. And it's incredibly rare that the woman just ups and leaves. Outside serious mental health or addiction issues. Hey, anyone can leave, right? That's a little bit of an erroneous kind of thought, you know? Anyone can leave, alright? Now, story number 2. Let's take a look at the story number 2. And it goes, oh my god, the air is really good. I like that. And says that he was child-free for so long. We broke up after several years because we wanted different things. One thing being kids. Only months later, he married a woman with kids. Like, bro was that much in a hurry to make a family. Honestly, I think it was midlife crisis because most of his buddies had sons in Little League and daughters having dance recitals, etc. How about that? FOMO. There is an abbreviation that I do not recognize. There is an abbreviation that I do not recognize, so very quickly I'm going to Google it. FOMO. What's the meaning of that? FOMO. Meaning. Apparently means fear of missing out. Fear of missing out. To that reply, to that story number 2 that I just read, someone says, I think that for some people there is confusion between fear of missing out and actually wanting children. They miss their friend group who have moved on without them. I know. If a friend of mine is going to have kids, I know for a fact that this friend is going to be probably much busier because they have to take care of the kid. But if they're truly a friend, eventually they will find time for you, even if it's just a little bit, because they have to take care of the kid, but they will find time for you. Now, to that one, another person replies, and this person says, give me a second. To that one, another person replies, and this person says, there was a story on here that supports your hypothesis. A woman has a kid with her husband. He gets a new job, and his new friends there are... he gets a new job, and his new friends there are all fuckboys. So he divorces her and goes off with these guys. Man, whoring it up. Whoring it up. That means basically being a womanizer of sorts. WHORING. Whoring it up. Then years later, after no contact, he shows up at the front door. All his friends fell in love and started getting married. Some are having kids and he wants to pick up where he left off. And he doesn't fit in with his friend group anymore. So he thinks he can just remarry his ex and fit in again. That sounds ridiculous and disgusting, to be honest. Dude, try to find someone better. Come on, try to find someone who fits with your values. Come on. By the way, that reply was posted by someone who eventually deleted their account, but that's besides the point. Moving on into story number 3. I think this is story number 3. Story number 3, and it says, he was a while back. Apparently he was child-free. I've now been married for almost 25 years to the better guy I found afterwards. How convenient. Sometimes it can happen that after you leave a relationship, you can find something good, something better. Or it can be a coin toss and you find nothing or you find anything. You find nothing or you find anything. But back to the story. It says, he was a while back. I have now been married for almost 25 years to the better guy I found afterwards. He found someone. He did find someone. He has his 2 kids. And then he hunted me down via social media to see if I'd be up for some no strings fun, because she is no fun since the kids, and I wish I'd never left you. How pathetic and how convenient. You leave a woman because you want to... this woman doesn't want to have kids, or maybe you leave this man because he doesn't want to have kids. But then you marry someone, you have kids, and you realize that fatherhood is more than just being the one that conceives, the one that gives the seed, the one that gives the sperm. It's more than that, you know. You have to work, you have to cooperate, you have to be there, you have to teach, you have to raise. Things like this make me appreciate my dad and my mom. Back to this one. I laughed and I blocked him. Not going to claim it didn't give me some satisfaction though. Oopa! I like this one because apparently then someone replies, wow, she's not fun since the kids. Gee, I wonder why. Beautiful sarcasm. And then another person replies sarcastically saying, literally, I would be no fun with kids. Neither would I, you know. I wouldn't be any fun either, you know. I wouldn't be any fun either with kids. That's for sure. I wouldn't be any fun with kids. That's for sure. Oh my god. To that one, another person replies, my ex-friend's old boyfriend did this too. Oh my god. Punctuation, people. Punctuation. Please use punctuation. Literally, as I'm reading that comment, it turns out that this person did not use punctuation properly. So, but that's besides the point. My ex-friend's old boyfriend did this too. He has 2 boys and a wife. He hit up on a wife. And a wife. Wait a minute. I don't know if this is a relative sentence or something, a relative clause or something. You know, relative clause that is connected, that in the relative noun, relative pronoun that or which or who is missing. Let's give it a try. He has 2 boys and a wife. He hit up. No, let's give it a try. He has 2 boys and a wife, comma. He hit up my ex-friend trying to cheat on his wife with her, comma. He even sent her a bunch of dick pics, ew, and they were very small. Period. Funnily enough, very small, funnily enough, comma. But his wife lost her virginity to him. But my ex-friend hates his wife because she's a Christian woman. I like this drama, but it's impossible and difficult to read because it doesn't have any proper punctuation. Commas and periods, commas and periods, people. You need to use them better. Oh, and by the way, back to the original story that I read at the beginning, the number 3, the one that says, He was childfree a while back. I've now been married for almost 25 years to the better guy I found afterwards. He found someone. He has his 2 kids and then he hunted me down via social media to see if I'd be up for some no strings attached fun, because she's not fun since the kids and I wish I never left you. I laughed and I blocked him. I'm not going to claim it didn't give me some satisfaction though. Another person replies to that comment, and that person says, I hope you reach out to her and let her know. Other people encourage this person to send a screenshot, alright? Wait a minute. Yeah, and she did send a screenshot, you know? Wow. She did then eventually send a screenshot to the woman, and hopefully she ruined someone's relationship with that. How poetic. With that information out, let's move on to story number 4. And it says, story number 4. My ex-husband married a woman that looked just like me who had a kid, then promptly had one of his own. I married the love of my life in the meantime and we were happy. He called me up 2 years ago to check in to tell me how much his life was fulfilled and how happy he was. I met him for coffee and we parted ways and he killed himself the following week. How about that? That's disturbing. There was suicide. This happened, by the way. This person that replied told this story in January of this year, and some people make some good replies, mostly sympathetic. They don't really make fun of the person, and that's kind of reassuring, you know. As much as I dislike people that insist that having kids is fun and want to force the view on others, come on, I'm not going to cheer off if someone ends their life like that. Some of these people reply with good. Some of these people make good replies, and they say some things like, "Yikes! The lies that some people tell themselves." Ay, my God. I'm recovering from some cough. I'm sorry. Please don't freak out, alright? The second person replies, "I did a double take, and I did not expect that ending. The ending in which this person, the ex who ended up having a family, that killed himself. This person did not expect that ending. I hope you're okay, OP. That sounds really tough." And another person says, "Oh my gosh, that's horrible. I'm so sorry." And then the person that posted the story about the man that eventually killed himself says, "Thank you. He was actually a good man, even though we were incompatible." I commend you for making this type of comments, you know. I commend you for this kind of comments, you know. You recognize that someone is a good person even if you don't agree, and if you don't agree on something, or even if you're not compatible on something, you know. This reminds me of an old saying in my language: "Lo cortés no quita lo valiente." Being polite and courteous does not make me any less brave. I hope that makes any sense. Lo cortés. I think this is applicable in this. This is applicable on this story about this person talking about how his ex, who ended up having kids, eventually killed himself. Lo cortés no quita lo valiente. In English, that would be something like, oh my God, being polite does not take away being brave. It doesn't hurt to be polite. It doesn't hurt to be nice, alright? Being polite and courteous does not make me any less brave. Does that make sense? I hope it does. Then, moving on to the... Alright, with that commentary out of the way, let's move on to the story number 5, alright? I think we're gonna read like 10 stories or more. 10 stories minimum, I think. Let's continue. Story number 5. And it says, "My ex wanted kids, and I told him there was no way in hell I was going to be a mother. He was waiting for me to change my mind, of course, and after 7 years of increasing pressure, I finally told him to get the fuck out. GTFO, get the fuck out. He left and moved back to his very red state. He hooked up with his high school sweetheart and had her pregnant within 6 months. Last I heard, they had 6 kids, and he was working on oil rigs. So away from home, from long stretches of time." Oh my God, oil rigs. How about that? Oil rigs. That's admirable, you know, because just like underwater welders, oil rig workers are a different breed. They are built different, and they are super tolerant, super strong, and they can work for long hours, you know. 6 kids? Oh my God, I will work in Alaska to be far from them kids. Another person replies. And that's frankly a hilarious response, because you can love your kids. You totally can, and you love them. But you sometimes want to rest, you know? You sometimes want to rest. Yeah, I love my family, but I appreciate my privacy, you know? I love my family. I would die for them, figuratively speaking. I hope I never have to do that literally. But personally, I don't think... no, I appreciate my privacy, alright? Moving on to story number 6. They are miserable and they have affairs because they can't leave the kid. He was all about spontaneous freedom to do whatever he wanted, whenever he wanted. Looking at any of his social media now, you can see that the light has gone out of his eyes. It's like his soul is dead. Another person replies and says, I can feel sorry for him. I just find this hilarious. All dead eyes should have listened. I don't think I understand that, but I like this reply. Totally, I do. Totally, I do. Let's continue with this, and it says, typical, common story, you know, they can't leave because of the child. You shouldn't have had that child anyway. Story number 7. It says, he ended up with a woman who already had a child. He ended up having an additional one with her. She and he found each other within a month or 2 of him leaving me. They struggled financially, but they seem happy. I'm very glad they found each other. Everyone seems so much happier. He and I were miserable together, and you know, to be honest, props to you, OP. Props to you, person whose name apparently is Jenny, because I don't know if your name is Jenny, but it seems that that's your name. I commend you for being able to admit that you are miserable with a person and perhaps you shouldn't be together. Another person replies that I love that this was a happy ending for 4 different people. 5 if you count the additional baby. And to be honest, I think I agree. I think I agree with that. Moving on to story number 8. I think I'm gonna like this one because it says, I had a relationship and... I had a relationship end because we weren't on the same page with having children, and he really wanted them. He quickly found another woman to marry, and they had 2 kids, including one with special needs. Oh my god, that sounds like they are going to need accommodations for that one. For the next few years, he contacted me and asked me to fly all over the US to join him on his business trips. Hard no from me. I had moved on. Not shockingly, they are divorced now. And to that, this person says, be careful what you wish for, folks. I agree. Sometimes you gotta be careful because you have to be meticulous and persnickety in the details of this dream that you want to achieve, you know? You need to have plenty of ideas about what you want to do, you know? I hope I'm making sense. Yep, I hope I'm making sense. What story is this? Story number 9. And it goes... Story number 9. At age 47, with being married 20 years, he fell in love with the new receptionist at his dream job. This receptionist was married. We were child-free. She had 2 small children that he became a daddy to. Not good. Just have the guts to break up, you know, because why give extra heartbreak by not breaking up and staying with a person that probably cares about you, a person that probably loves you, a person that probably and definitely cares about you, and you betrayed this trust, being with someone when deep inside you kind of wish you were not with this person. No, don't do that. Have the guts to break up. Totally. Let's continue. We're going to read like a few more stories before this video ends because let's find out. Story number 10. Bet I've been waiting for this question. Cracks the knuckles. So, me and homeboy, we'll call him Trent. Trent and I had been together for 7 years. Now mind you, not 7 amazing years, but still a long ass time. The topic of kids had come up. He would say he wanted them someday, and we always ultimately decided against it because we like our lifestyle more. Now, I have my suspicion of practically being infertile for a while. But I never got tested. Stayed on depot, worked, and lived my life. We were sexually active pretty much the whole time. Fast forward to the breakup. Trent moved out of my place and in with a friend. Starts dating again immediately. No judgment, people are allowed to move on at their own speed. 2 months later, gets a girl knocked up with twins. Fast forward 4 more years. He and the girl are broken up. She sues for full custody. Trent loses the kids and has to pay child support. Paperwork shows up at his job to garnish wages for said child support. He refuses to sign it. Trent now works under the table, gain an extra 150 pounds, tells everyone that those twins aren't his, even though they look like they fell out of his ass, lost his house, and lives in an apartment with a new woman. I wouldn't say I dodged a bullet. I dodged a bullet train, and I'm still happily child-free to this day. The only thing that frustrates me is the fact that you mentioned 150 pounds. What's that? 150 pounds to kilos, it's... how much? Huh? Almost 70 kilograms. How about that? That's a lot. And to that, other people reply. Wait a minute. To that, other people... oh no, there are no replies. Get back. And this person says, ew, I assume that he works under the table for cash, so he doesn't have to pay child support, right? I can't imagine being so gung-ho about creating life and then refusing to pay to even keep the children fed. Good for his whole workplace for firing him, this person says, and replies to story number 10. And to be honest, it's frustrating, you know, you just want to create life but you don't want to raise it. Ironically, those of us that are totally against having children and creating life, I think we would ironically be better parents than too many of these people that are breeders and they like to have kids. They want to have kids. How hilarious is that? Let's move on to the next story, and it says, story number 11. Story number 11. It sticks because their partner had left. It sticks because their parent they left won't take them back, and they can't face that they blew up their entire life in an impulse they didn't think through. Then once they actually have kids, they are permanently stuck as parents whether they want to be or not. Precisely, I don't want to be a father. I don't want to have these responsibilities. Therefore, I avoid it like the plague. Yes, I avoid it like the plague. No. Let's continue. Let's continue with the story number what? This is 11. So now let's move on to story number 12. This is a short... Oh no. This person writes something short and it says, not my partner, but my firmly child-free best friend and I plan on living super fun child-free lives together because... Again, not my partner, but my child-free best friend and I plan on living super fun child-free lives together. But she told me a few days ago that she had changed her mind. And that makes me so sad. I know, it would make me sad too. Totally. Don't break the friendship like it's a betrayal, but yeah. To that, this person replies. To story number 11, someone says, that's devastating, I'm so sorry. That's too devastating, I'm so sorry. I hope she isn't just doing this because she's afraid of potential regrets. But either way, you must be going through quite the grieving process. I hope somehow she stays a good friend. I hope that OP replies to this one. If my bestie did that, I would be crushed. I felt bad enough when my other close friend decided to have one. Hey, you could be an honorary uncle. You could potentially be an honorary uncle. And yes, of course, that doesn't mean that you're going to babysit the kids. Absolutely not. This person replies. Original translator. No, OP doesn't reply. Oh no, to that previous reply that I just read, someone else says. Same thing happened with my friend from middle school. Punctuation, goddammit. Punctuation, goddammit. Now, one more time. Same thing. Same thing happened with my friend from middle school. She got pregnant. High school. She got pregnant. She got pregnant. High school me and my now husband would help her with her baby. She's so beautiful. Like a doll. Comas! My friend out of nowhere broke up with her boyfriend who wanted to be the stepdad of her child. Dumped all of us and ghosted everyone. It was truly heartbreaking because we genuinely loved her and her daughter. And we tried our best to make sure she wasn't stressed. But she seems to be doing well, and I hope it stays that way. Her daughter is such a little lady too, and she's cute. Use punctuations, my. Reading that was super hard. You didn't, me lleva al demonio. You didn't use commas, and periods, but I did understand your story. Hope that little girl is okay. What's the next number? Story number 13. He's super happy with his family. I'm happy for him. I know you're not your typical answer here, but it's true. Indeed, it's not a typical answer because it's super short. Story number 13 is actually the shortest one apparently. It's just one sentence, and that's frankly something wonderful and something welcome, honestly. Something wonderful and something welcome, honestly. Let's move on to story number 14. Veamos. Let's see. Oh, this person says he has 2 kids now. I hear from mutual friends that he's a great father. They had their second really soon after the first one, so wait a minute, I guess it was something he really wanted. I'm pleased he's happy and no regrets on my side. Wow. That's actually wonderful. Oh, speaking about the regrets, I have a phrase that perfectly summarizes my opinion on this subject, I have an opinion that perfectly summarizes my views on the whole child-free lifestyle. My phrase is, it's better to have no kids and regret it much later than to have kids and be a regretful parent. Which brings me to have the following, what's the word? The following train of thought, the following opinion, that is, even if my mom sometimes ponders and wonders what life would have been like if I hadn't been born, that doesn't make her a bad person. I love her. She loves me. She loves us. And we love her. It's just that sometimes one can help think about the what if. Think about the what if. The what if scenarios. Doesn't like being handed things. I think it's starting to get a little dark. I'm going to turn on the light. Let's continue with story number 15. These are rather short replies, I have to admit it. That's kind of a wonderful, welcome answer, you know? Because this one says, it's nice to see that I'm not the only one that had exes knock up the next person. Knock up, apparently the phrasal verb knock up means to get someone pregnant, get a girl pregnant. I always thought I was like a good luck Chuck charm, but now I see. They were just desperate for that baby life with anyone who was willing. I sometimes wonder, and I think that that's precisely the case with my ex, who eventually moved on to the next guy. I know his name, I'm not gonna say it, and neither am I going to say the name of my ex, but she immediately went on to this guy and they have a kid. They have a boy, whose name whose name I'm not gonna say either. And yeah, they just go to the next person. And that's not okay, you know? That's not a story, that's more like an opinion, but still I'm gonna give it a number. Let's move on to story number 16. Story number 16, it says, he married a doctor, he has 2 kids, and seems incredibly happy. And his life looks like hell from my perspective. Good for him. I'm glad he found the life he wanted, and I'm thrilled I found the one I wanted. Again, sometimes you're just not compatible. You want 2 different things. So when that happens, you might as well go your separate ways. Looks like hell from my perspective. How about that? Whoopa! This person is giving a long story. I like this. This will be story number 20. We'll leave it for the end, alright? Let's give it a try. Give me a second. Alright, this will be story number 20. We are going to save that for the last one. Story number 20. I like this idea. What's next? Story number 17. Story number 17. Story number 17. And it says, we split up in 2018 because he wanted kids and I didn't. He still hasn't even found another girlfriend. I do genuinely feel bad for him. He wasn't a terrible guy. I've been happily married for 2 years to a childfree, sterilized man. Life is good here. Let's see. Edit. He did lie to me for 5 years about not wanting children, so I don't feel that bad. But still, 7 years alone when all you want is a wife and kids is sad. I couldn't agree with that more. Some replies are, let's give it a try. He never even got another girlfriend. Bruh, that's kind of sad. I think he missed his window. I come from a very small town. Less than 1,000 people at the very last census. There aren't many eligible women in his age range. Most are either too young, too old, too taken, or too related. He would probably have to leave, which is also an argument we'd had a few times. So I can confidently say that won't happen. I did leave, moved to a bigger city in a warmer state. It's great here. How about that? Oh, that's the reply of the original poster of that one. How fantastic. 2 more stories and that's gonna be it. Story number 18. He knocked up the next girl. Again, he knocked up the next girl after me, I believe. It's not like it sounds tough. I'm happy for him. We couldn't be together without one of us sacrificing the life we want to do. We couldn't be together without one of us sacrificing the life we wanted to do. I don't make a habit of ever looking at his social media or anything. So I have no idea if he's still with the woman or not. But here's hoping he is. and that he's content with the decision we both made to part ways amicably. I always knew he would probably make a great dad one day, so she's a very lucky woman to have snagged him. Snagged with double G, by the way. How hilarious that is. Beautiful. Story number 19, and this will be one of the last ones. Hopefully I can make a second part of this video. I don't know. Who knows? Like for part 2. Like for part 2. Who knows? We'll see. Story number 19. It says, 2 weeks after we separated, he got together with a single mom with a newborn. It's been over more than 2 years, and he's living his best life. He's happy and fulfilled. His kid adores him, and suburban life really suits him. I'm single and still struggling, trying to find romantic love. Oh well, anything can happen when you leave someone. What you plan can happen, or something totally the opposite can happen. And to that, you never know. For the story number 20, we're going to read a very long story. It's edited, and this person apparently talks about 3 different exes, alright? 3 different exes, so let's see what it says. Story number 30. Here are a few stories about exes who I've kept in touch with. Some of whom wanted kids, and so we broke up. Others had kids after we went our separate ways. Names are shortened to initials for the sake of privacy. D for Daniel. We were teenagers. We were teenagers and split up for very teenage reasons. But by the time that she'd become a more worldly young adult, she decided that she wanted kids. She later found out she couldn't have them, but she's now very open, loud, and proud about how glad she is that life turned out that way for her. Lol. Oh no, apparently this person is a man. I don't know. Let's find out. Letter C. Also quite young. C and I. C for, I don't know, Carly? Carly? Also quite young, C and I. But she had a kid right after we split up. Well, more than 9 months afterwards, obviously. Now, funnily enough, she's in the same field of work as me. And despite even being in a more senior position, well, I've just gotten back from our 4th holiday abroad last year. We got back on New Year's Eve, so it counts. Her childcare and general family lifestyle her childcare and general family lifestyle costs contributed to her and her family having had a single local vacation. I know there's more to life than travel, but this is representative of our different quality of life experiences, I think. F for Faye, I don't know. We dated later on in our 20s. Long after being childfree had become a more top priority thing, more important, immediate, relevant to whether someone was a match, etc. She didn't want kids, as far as she believed at the time. At first. Obviously, otherwise I wouldn't have dated her. But she got some medical news that meant that she was almost entirely unable to have kids, unable to have children. This news weirdly sent her into a panic, and she suddenly wanted desperately what she'd been told that she probably couldn't have. So, we went our separate ways. But she did eventually have a child with a subsequent partner, against all odds. Now, listening to her, what So has to say about herself. It's as if her entire identity seems to be defined by her struggle with her illness and her status as a mother in relationship to that. Sad. And finally, letter L. Letty, why not? Around 30 years old. Both of us. She said she didn't want kids. And seemed sincere and self-aware enough for me to be on board with it. And as ever, our behavior regarding contraception was entirely in line with that. When she broke it off, my best guess is an understanding of the very vague reasoning she was giving me that it was just a generic bad matchup. She wasn't as happy as she had been, but within a year she was a mother with her next partner. So it's been a quick and easy assumption for me that she had rethought her child freedom, particularly because she had been faced with a relationship with a man who was arranging his vasectomy. Again, I've been with a lot of cough and I'm recovering. Have to stay home. All of the things that had made her and her life so interesting, loads of travel, her sense of adventure, getting active in the community, hobbies, creative stuff, classes, etc., literally all totally disappeared. Her career also seems to have ground to a halt, too. Something that she'd always been so passionate about. Also sad. Not gonna deny it, it is like that. Wait a minute. A person makes an opinion about X letter D. And this person says, regarding D, this is why I think Natalists in positions of power, I'm referring to the US, but I think this applies to other countries too, are doing. This is why I think Natalists in positions in power are doing what they can to encourage younger people to have kids, or to prevent younger people from not having kids. So many people who have kids young have no chance to figure out their lives first, which may allow them to see that not having kids is an option, and a fantastic one at that. I see so many people just stop growing up as a person after they have kids. And when it happens, when one is younger, that is how we end up with parents who don't understand critical thinking because their entire CPU is used up in sleepless, noisy, smelly child rearing, who get left behind by their peers professionally and sometimes intellectually. And the original poster says, I agree with you 100%. That's a wonderful point of view, right? And I appreciate everyone that gave the replies and that they shared their stories with us. Thank you very much. That's it for the moment. I would like to finish this on a positive note, saying that it's okay, you can choose. In this day and age, you can totally choose, and anyone who says otherwise is a jerk, is an asshole, is a jackass, and is a controlling idiot, alright? This is for you, Miss Dove Pigeon. What's the word? For the mother of my ex who insisted on us having kids, and that's the reason why I left. Not in the best of terms, but I'm going to accept that. That's the reason I left. Thank you very much for being here, Brave New World. I'll see you in a different episode. Goodbye.